things that challenge our long-duration space travelers, and the solutions are equally applicable in space and on Earth.
There's been a lot of coverage of this for a number of different reasons, but the number one reason is the toilet malfunction. Finally, I have an ability that would, equip me to be a NASA astronaut. I'm a good toilet man. Was that extremely difficult to fix, and was that a burden on the crew? And how did you get it done?
Well, we actually, yeah, I was going to say, we actually have three possible bathrooms. One's on the shuttle, one is back in the Russian segment, and one is right behind the camera here in the U.S. laboratory. So we had some backup capacity, but I will tell you that it was a pretty big effort. A lot of parts were changed out. A lot of this corridor would have been blocked with components, and it's handled very conservatively when we fix something like that, because things that may not seem as critical on Earth become pretty critical in space.
Julie, I want to ask you a question because you're our neighbor from Montreal. Your second trip into space, how different is that from the first trip up like Chris is experiencing, and how is our rookie astronaut from Maine doing?
What do you think?
They're trying to whisper the answer to my ear, but I will not oblige them. Let me answer the second question first. The rookie astronaut from Maine is doing extraordinary. I knew what a spacewalk was before because I've flown before and I've had spacewalk on my flight, and I've trained for many years with spacewalkers. But the last 3 spacewalks that we've done out of 5, I've realized again how hard and how complex and how difficult and how dangerous it is to put yourself clad in a suit, walk outside for several hours with nothing to eat, unable to scratch your nose if something happened, and having to do a really tough work with very, very little margin for error. And I have here my colleagues right behind me who were doing their first spacewalk just a few days ago, and have done absolutely outstanding, even in the books of veteran Dave Wolf, who has done 7 in his entire career. And tomorrow they're going out the door again, including Chris, but this time leading the spacewalk. So that tells you exactly how he's doing. He's doing just phenomenal. And as far as the difference is enormous. When I first came to space, I went to the International Space Station, but at the time it only had 2 modules, was completely empty, nobody on board. We came, we brought equipment, and we went. This time I came to an enormous station, the size of 2 football fields, with 9 living module quarters where you could work. Already 6 people on board from different nationality. It was just a completely different world. And it has been so busy now since the beginning of the mission that we haven't had time to explore, and we hope that we'll have a bit of time at the end of our stay here to explore this extraordinary laboratory.
Now, I understand you've checked out the damage to the heat shield that happened during launch with cameras, and even with your own eyes from inside the space station. At this point, how concerned are you about the damage?
Actually, we're not concerned at all. We know that some pieces of foam fell from the tank, but right off the bat, we had some of our crew members that took pictures of the tank to start the analysis. Then on the second day of the flight, we conducted some inspection of our thermal covers. We found nothing of significance, and we didn't even need to do a second set of inspection, which was planned for flight day 5. We didn't do that one because it was not necessary. So once we undock the space station, we'll plan another set of normal inspections, and we'll be clear for the entry.
Now, yesterday, and I guess this would be addressed to the spacewalkers among you, yesterday you had a little bit of a problem with one of the spacesuits in terms of CO2 levels. How scary an event is that for you when you're outside the ISS like that?
Well, it was my suit, and we're fortunate to have a team of fantastic people on the ground. They're getting telemetry from each of our suits. They're continuously updating on the suit data and periodically updating on our biometric data. So they're keeping a trend and a path of all the intricacies of the suit, and they're able to detect any problems long before we inside would have any idea. In fact, it was a total surprise to me that the CO2 was climbing high, and when we aborted in conservative numbers, so I felt no symptoms and was really not that concerned. I was confident that they had my safety in mind.
This you get from a Navy SEAL who's done a lot of this kind of thing. It can get your attention out there doing that too.
Now, this week, of course, we celebrated the 40th anniversary of man's first walk on the moon. It's been a big deal here on Earth, of course, and you've been up there celebrating, I guess, a little bit on your own. But moonwalker Buzz Aldrin believes we ought to skip going back to the moon right away and go straight for Mars next. Can I ask for a show of hands how many of you would agree with that?
I'll tell you, there are a lot of smart people that are working on that sort of thing, working on the best priorities for us. And we're implementing the plan as it's currently stated for us. I think we would all love to go to the moon. We all love to go to Mars. We train for space flights, and that's what we love to do. And so we'll leave the planning to the management.
This is so cool to be able to talk to you guys from space. To me, it's indescribable to even think of what it would be like. And I know people probably ask you this all the time, but is there any way you can describe to us down here on Earth what it's like to be up there, what you see, and just the experience that you're feeling?
Well, I guess the two main things are the fact that in microgravity, you float and get to fly around like Superman and get very accustomed to not having to place things that they're going to drop. But the flip side to that is you have to be very careful because you always have to hold on to something or Velcro something or tie it down or it's going to get away from you. The other part, besides the weightlessness that we all enjoy, is the fact that we get to view the beautiful planet Earth from a vantage point that unfortunately not many people get to see, and we see both all of its beauty and some of the other effects that humans have on the environment.
When you're out there looking at Earth, what are you thinking?
Actually, when you're in a spaceship, that is your home, but also it is your security and your safety. This is what keeps you alive in the harsh environment of space. You look at the Earth and you think about the same thing about the planet. This is our spaceship. This is a spaceship of the human race and any other human and living creature on Earth. This is the only place we have to live. And when you see it from above, that becomes very clear to you, because this is where we live and where we enjoy living and where we're going to return. That's certainly one thought, but most of it is its absolutely incredible, majestic beauty. It is such an incredible planet. Beautiful to see and never boring.
Real quick, what is the food like up there? What are you guys eating? And everyone always asks, do you guys really drink Tang up there? There's the famous commercial that we always see from way back when.
To my left made us a nice breakfast. She brought some Canadian maple butter, and we put them on tortillas. But we have different foods prepared, kind of like camping food, but it's very good, actually. I like it. Do you like it, Julie?
Yes, very much. It's actually very varied, and most people think, we drink out of tubes and eat out of pills. It's very much like camping food. It's dehydrated, part of it, or a package very specially. What is difficult about eating is not the menu is very good. It's not to be quite careful with your food. Of course, when we start opening our package and start eating, if we flick the spoon, then the food's going to go floating, and that's not a good thing in a tight spacecraft. So you have to be have some table manners.
Commander, how did things go today as far as the work was concerned?
They actually went extremely well. It was a really big day for our international partners over in Japan. They developed this robotic arm, and we brought a lot of their hardware, and Julie and I and 3 others managed to go ahead and use the robotic arm to transfer 3